Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Volpe Bazzo Report. I'm your co-host, Dominic Volpe. Andy is to my far right, and our two political commentators for the night, Darren Rigger and Michael Grace.
I'm excited. This is my very first episode ever doing it with Dominic Volpe.
And by the way, the last episode when you thought we were cold here, it really didn't happen. It was a spoof on you people at home. It was warm.
Cold.
It was very comfortable here. A little chilly tonight. But other than that, it's not too bad.
We were proving an adage that nobody ever looks good in winter clothes. And as you can see that with Darren's case, doesn't matter whether he's dressed or not. He said, Now,
Marianne McCara.
Yes, we have to say hello to our number one fan, Marianne McCara.
That's right.
How are you, Marianne?
Hello, Marianne.
We have to say hello to Christine Scotty, who always puts the shows on YouTube.
Oh, correct. Yes,
yes. Brian is out sick with the flu, which I heard is going around. But
going around.
As you can tell that,
come on, where you been?
As you can tell that the people here don't have weenie bodies, and so we don't get sick. As far as I go, as my contract, I can't get sick without giving 2 weeks notice, and I can't die without giving 4 weeks notice.
Gotcha.
I have really son of a bitch of a boss.
Yeah.
And so if he told me if I die without giving notice, he'll fire me. So this is really tough.
I'm surprised you don't get sick because Andy, a lot of people don't know this, but Andy kisses goodbye to every single person that rides in his passenger. Every person in his cab he kisses goodbye.
You're kidding, I do.
Oh, yeah, that's
I do. I want every one of my passengers to kiss my ring, which I keep in my back pocket. But anyway, we have a couple. Number one, announcement I should have made last week and I didn't. As of a month ago, for those people that are missing the show as you're watching it now, if you're missing it, you can watch it again on 7:30 on Saturday nights.
Oh.
So we have two airings now of the show, Wednesday at 9:30 and Saturday nights at 7:30.
How bad is your Saturday night?
Now, here's the question. Is it true that because our show is so popular, that they added this second time slot in order to raise their ratings on cable?
Well, actually, we've been asked a number of times. I get the letter about, are we interested in airing a second night?
Oh, so it's true.
So finally I said yes.
Well, we're the number one rated show on public access, I believe.
Well, I think we're the number one.
Mind you, there's no surveys. We just.
I think we're the number one show that people know who the hell's here. Who we are. I think that helps. I found out an interesting thing. There was a survey. We just talked about this off the air. And I say this because I'm 62.
Oh, God.
And how old are you, Mike?
60. I will be 62.
So, okay, this is a very important survey. It seems that the optimum age for men and women to enjoy sex in women's case is 61, and in men's case is 67. And these guys are looking at me like I just fell off the Christmas tree. But this was a scientific survey that came out, and I didn't understand maybe with the woman.
How big was the survey pool? 4 people?
No, it was a reputable.
Only between the ages of.
No, this was actually.
It was a handout at Heritage Hills.
This was actually a reputable survey. I wish I could remember who it was, but it was reputable, or else I would have ignored it.
Right.
But it was a reputable name. I've used them before in my columns. When I discuss scientific issues, these people are very reputable. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying, I didn't understand why women 61, I figured the minute they get over menopause, that's when they enjoy sex the most because they know they're never going to get pregnant again.
Correct.
And their period is gone and all that stuff.
Right.
So I figured the day after.
I feel like I'm so uncomfortable right now.
I don't know. This is a discussion I'm bowing out of.
Oh, no. But the men at 67, I figured, because if you're still getting laid at 67,
you got to be a happy smile on your face.
Right.
So your best years are still in front of you.
No, my best years are over with. See, sex is more like work now.
Right.
I tried enjoying it.
All right, so we're 5 weeks into the current mayor's term. There's no fleeing from Peekskill. Everybody still stayed. tax base is good. It seems to be things that
you know,
quiet
He's only
down.
been given 5 weeks to do damage. though.
Right,
That's-
right, right.
Well, you know,
It's been 5 weeks though that, we heard Armageddon was on its way
I
and all
have,
that stuff.
I heard this with Yorktown, with Peaks, with all this. It's like pulling up a plant you just planted every 2 weeks to see how the roots are growing.
Right.
Right now, you got to give it a chance.
Right.
Now,
Well, no. Remember, we heard that Mary Foster was going to be put in as city manager, and all the stuff that the Republicans were putting out there. All that stuff, all BS.
as both parties are equally guilty of lying about what the other party's
Right,
going to
exactly.
Politicians mislead people? I'm shocked.
I mean, I try. The only way you can predict the future is when it becomes the past. So I'm usually not good at predicting the future.
Right.
Unless, if I could, it would be lottery numbers.
Right.
But now you were supervisor in Yorktown. I get trouble because I'm seeing this in Westchester County. And I wrote the column, you voters made your choice, you're going to be punished. And I'm seeing them like the Westchester County Board of Legislators now wants to bring back all these issues that Astorino vetoed that they couldn't override.
Right.
And
Right.
vetoed for good reason. And now they want to, because now they got the majority on the board, they can run them through. And that troubles me. Because these, it's like a bad idea apparently with a Democrat never goes away.
Yeah,
Now you got something.
No, but I think it's a mistake to think that last November's election results were some referendum on what was going on locally. Anyhow, I think that had nothing to do with anything local.
Mike, question for you, because we've had this discussion prior to you being here. So, a lot of people did point the finger that there was like an anti-Trump move.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Then there's the side that says no, it has nothing to do with it whatsoever because on a local level. Did you get any feedback since? Because now it's already been 2-3 months.
You know what?
To be fair, I took the side that Proposition 1 had a lot to do
Yes,
with
I
it.
think that
More than Trump.
I think last year was somewhat interesting because you got the feeling, even early on before election season heated up, that there was this people were coming out of the woodwork. There was certainly an anti-Trump movement. I think you had this same type of backlash in 2009 after Obama was elected. So you were seeing some of that sentiment out there.
So is it more, not so much like Republican conservatives like weren't energized, it was just the other base, the Democratic base, depending on which side you're coming from. Because like I took it one day, we were talking about on the show, how there was a Democratic meeting back in, like I'm going to say August or September, and something like, normally 12 people, 14 people show up. I'm talking about it just, and like 47 people showed up.
Yeah, I think.
You know what I mean? So something was going on.
Yeah, no, I think I think you could get a sense of it. If I look at the vote totals, I think I got 5,300 votes, which usually to win the supervisor's race is the first to 4,000. Mm-hmm. So it was 25% more
Increase
than
in voter turnout.
voter turnout. So I think I got more votes this time than every time I had run before, but I still came up short.
But I think
We're looking at Peekskill.
but
I won
said-
with like 250 votes. I won with.
Right.
So I won a city
125
council seat.
votes.
How much?
125 votes.
It's more like 250.
Yeah.
125.
It's a good solid win.
Yeah.
But
It was a solid win.
the city council members this year won by 600 votes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never saw anything like it.
Right.
I still.
I think it had. I think the unions got a lot of people out.
That's Proposition 1, Mike, and
on the fear of which was a lot of fear mongering. Then you had this the whole other thing with you had some Trump backlash.
Yeah.
But I think what the proof will be in this year's elections coming up.
Right.
To see whether
Correct.
it lasts. The
Yes.
2000. The rise of the Tea Party kind of movement that followed the 2008 elections
Right.
actually lasted for a good period of time. It lasted pretty much through whole of Obama's
Astorino's consultant, I thought this
tenure.
was interesting. He said, because Astorino ran and he got a certain amount of vote, and then when he ran that next time, it was part of that wave. So he's like, we came in on a wave and we went out on a wave.
Yeah.
He's like, so
And
we understand that these things happen, these waves happen.
Right, the pendulum does swing. I think that I remember thinking in the spring we were wondering whether we were either going to get any candidates in opposition to us, because what are they going to run on? I mean, I kept taxes flat for 6 years. Actually, two decreases in taxes during that 6 years, at a period of time when the economy just sucked,
Right.
locally. I reduced the town's long-term debt by 30% over that 6 years, and increased the fund balance fivefold. So financially, the town had never been in better shape. I mean,
Right.
never been in better shape. Plus, we got stuff. We were very proactive. We got a lot of things done.
Right.
So we were getting new ball fields put in.
So what's the issue?
What was the issue at
the
this moment?
point that they could pick on?
The and the whole campaign, there was no, I was getting frustrated because I was constantly saying, well, run on my record, nobody gave a damn on my record. I remember sitting at a town board meeting telling everybody that one of my big savings during my tenure was the garbage contract. We reduced it by $800,000 a year. $800,000 a year, so $4 million over 5 years of the contract. Now we went back out to bid on it again. We were all holding our breath. Where's it going to go? We figured it's going to go back up again, and this was going to hit the cap, and you had to do all sorts of machinations to get them. Actually dropped another $500,000. So now we're down $1.3 million on an essential service that from when I started as supervisor, which is, you talk about, it's an enormous savings.
Right, of course.
A town
That
like
much
Yorktown
on a town,
can do with $1.3 million a year.
Absolutely.
It's just, everything is just great. So he said at a town board meeting, and just tell everybody, we successfully negotiated a new garbage contract with a new vendor at $500,000 less than we spent last year, which was $800,000 less than when I came in, which is $1.3 million less. So, and you would think that somebody in the audience would have a smile on their face, and then they all sat there deadpan. I felt like Trump in the State of the Union when he looks over to the right and just goes, you know what? And they're all sitting on their hands. I said, you know what? You can't. It's good news. Anybody, it's good news. Your taxes aren't going up; they can go down.
But I find it. But
it had nothing to do with this.
What I'm trying to say, but I'm finding it troubling, because on the county level, they want to bring back all this stuff that's been decided.
Right.
And I like the Board of Legislatures that was able to work across the aisles and come up with a consent.
You're right. They punished Kaplowitz, who actually, Kaplowitz is a Yorktown. Has a Yorktown is
part of the
his
district.
Constituency.
Yeah, but Darren says he's not a Democrat.
No, I think look. I think he worked well.
No, that was a payback for when he sided with the Astorino faction and made them. He bolted, so that was a payback.
Our problem here in Peekskill, and Andy knows this story. It goes back to when they had a majority, and the Democrats were greedy, and they wanted a super majority. They wanted to be able to override vetoes, and so they came to us here in Peekskill and they said, one of the things that we got to do is we got to secure Mike Kaplowitz's reelection, because we're working out a deal with Mike Kaplowitz. That's what they said. And they said, so we're going to redraw the lines up in Peekskill to create a super Republican district, County District number 1, which is John Testa's seat.
Yeah.
We're going to take all the Republican election districts from Kaplowitz and give them over to Testa, and we're going to take Democratic ones from Testa and give them both, and we're going to create Catherine Borgia's seat, because Catherine Borgia never used to come up to Peekskill. So they went through this whole big machination to redraw lines that now means that forever until the next census, there's no way a Democrat could be even competitive in county districts. Even this last election.
I mean, in Texas.
Yeah, look at this last election. This last election was an indicator.
Look, you know what?
Why did they do this? They did that to secure this deal with Kaplowitz.
For Kaplowitz.
And 2 years later, he stabs them all in the back.
And he bolted.
Look,
that's
politics is.
That's
I mean,
but that's.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to give you the background why.
I don't consider what Kaplowitz did bolting. I have to listen and vomit every time I see an editorial. Why don't they come together? Why don't they work together for the good of the people? Up in Albany, well, Westchester came together. They worked, Democrats and Republicans, to put aside and work on the things they agree with.
Right.
That was a good thing. Up in Albany, you got the breakaway Democrats, which is like showing a cross to Dracula when I talk about it with Darren, who found a way to make Albany work as best as it can in the corrupt state of New York that we have. But they get the job done without going too far one way or too far the other. Kaplowitz made sure the board, because you're going to see this now, the Board of Legislature is going to go off the deep end.
Right.
And Kaplowitz kept the ship going
Right, and
smooth.
I think-
that's not bolting. The IDC Democrats
Well-
keep Albany going smooth. That's not bolting. But now that you hear what they're going to do in Yorktown, there's a great thing that to say that the people of the Jefferson Valley Mall. Great idea. Let Yorktown take over the road. This way to put the access off of 6th, if I get this right, doesn't cost the builder, what, $10 million?
Oh, it was some crazy.
What's
yeah,
the law
yeah,
on this
yeah.
now? You dealt with this. What's
Yeah,
the
we
law on this?
negotiate-
Listen
yeah.
to this.
What happened is that Jefferson Valley Mall, which is a big rateable in Yorktown, was dying.
It is, yeah.
And so they
Scary.
have a corner of the piece of property on the northeast corner of the property, which is a
By
big,
Jefferson Village, the
yeah,
part that
big
faces you.
divot down there, and they got somebody that they were willing. They have a tenant willing to come in on an 8,000 square foot pad, but the quid pro quo for them to come in was to get direct access off of 6th going east,
Oh, I
which
see.
was no big deal because it's a divided highway with a median.
Wait a minute, are you talking about where the old par 3 golf course used to be?
Yeah,
No,
further down,
the other
further,
end,
yeah,
the other end.
other
Oh,
end,
the other
other
end.
end.
By Jefferson Village end.
Yeah.
Oh, towards the towers.
Right,
Okay,
right,
yeah,
toward the
gotcha.
Jefferson Village.
So, for all engineering purposes and traffic safety purposes, it worked. And all the engineers, all the technical guys said, "Oh, this is great, no big problem." We're sitting at a meeting with DOT, and they said, "Well, we got to run it by the real estate division for New York State." And what they're going to do is, because it is a limited access highway, where previously to this, the state would have condemned access to the road in order to keep it, as part of making it a limited access highway. Now they're going to want to return back on their investment, so they're going to sell you back the access. And they do it based upon what they think is the additional added value to the property by giving you the access. So this would have been, I don't know, 8 figures, somewhere
Big.
upwards of.
I know it was between
It
10
would
and
have
the
stopped,
sta-
so it
was
would have stopped
reported
it in
that
its
the-
tracks.
So they said, no, forget it, and
Right.
now the whole mall's teetering on a failure. But we're in a meeting, and the guy lets up, the only time we make an exception to this, if the access is to a town road. So I said, fine, we'll make the loop road in the wall a town road. And if I do that on a local level, then you say you give it to, absolutely, so done. And the thing is that now you get, so this is all, we painstakingly went through this, we vetted it legally, we know what we're doing, we decided, we had into maintenance agreements with the mall, which would, have all sorts of, side legal issues, which have all been resolved and everything else, and the new administration comes in and says, we want to re-examine this and start over again. And you're thinking, what?
So,
Wait a minute, this is at the county level now?
No,
No, it's at the town level, and you're sitting there going, it's like, the thing is, it's one, we
They're gonna relook at the agreement to take the loop as a town road.
What would happen was that the road would come off of 6, and then there's a road, interior road, like
It goes around the
yeah.
mall.
It goes around the mall. We're only taking a bit of it. We're taking only one half of it that goes around one side of the mall, and then comes out to a traffic light facing Strang Boulevard. So
Correct,
it actually makes sense. That interior roadway. So the whole idea was that we would do it, and the mall would bring it up to town specifications. And look, the mall's going to end up plowing it, doing all those sorts of things because
So they'll do all the services
because
for it,
it makes it's.
Yeah, it's there.
It's their
Yes,
park-
yes,
yeah,
yes,
It's their parking lot.
Yeah,
for the
to get the plow from
Right.
A to B, you gotta drive down that road.
Yeah. So this is fine, and the problem is that you got people that sit there and will just say, well, you're doing the mall a favor, and you shouldn't be doing that and everything, and you're sitting there going, well, don't you understand that in the long term it does that you're going to mothball the mall.
The
if you
success
don't
of that
do it.
of that premises
and
is
it's the
better
fact
for
that
us.
New York State wants to hold them up without consideration of what's going on a local level, and we have a way to do an end around, which is exactly what it was, and it was all laid out in front of the New York State.
and legal.
Yeah. And we're telling New York State, this is exactly what we're going to skunk you out of what you're asking them because you're asking them for too much.
Yeah.
And
So anyway, but now this new administration says
Well,
we got this.
let me ask you
and,
this.
and it
And
bothers me.
Mike was taken, because I want to make sure, I want to bring myself up to speed. Mike has been taken off as being the Board of the chairman
chair.
of the board.
Right.
However, is he still on any committees?
He's got some minor committee now. I think he's in charge of pigeons and
but you know what it is?
No, the reason why I say this is because, and I've always said when it came to the finances, Mike was the
Borges
Yeah,
got
but they
that.
had, but they had a big
I
high
know,
fight
but
anyway.
they
There
didn't
was
give
still a
Mike.
fight.
Mike used to
Yeah.
be finance
To choose the
before
new
he
chair.
was chairman of the board of
Right,
legislation.
right.
He was finance
because he's the smartest.
They
man
gave
in-
it to Catherine Borgia,
Well,
who knows
well,
who
that's-
knows more about finance than probably I got a couple of idiots that still go to
Well,
elementary
if they
school.
did that, that's a mistake. But they want to make her chair a chair of the. Wait, she's chairman of the board of legislators, right?
No.
No.
Oh.
They had a fight. The Democrats had a
So
good,
who's
healthy
who's
debate.
the chair now?
The chair is a guy from White Plains. Some guy from White Plains.
Johnson?
No.
No, begins with a B, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm saying Borgia is now head of the finance, and I don't know why your Democrat Party insists on putting people that have had no experience in business, that have lived on the public teat their entire
But she
life.
has a business.
What?
She does finance and realty.
What?
She has a realtor's license. She does real estate and finance and
Not-
mortgages and refinance and all that kind
What's
of stuff.
that got to do with what she's got to do?
I
What does
mean,
that
but she's got a
to do-
business. She pays taxes.
No.
You
Mike
know.
had experience in dealing with finance, which is what the Board of Legislature's financial thing is. How do you make this work? What's it going to cost? What's it going to cost the town?
But you can't
This
play that
is
game
Mike's
because if you
thing.
go down that path, then John Tess is not qualified for anything. He wouldn't get a committee.
he would get the history committee.
He was what did he do for a living? I think he was like a shop teacher.
he-
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what? The
We
thing
have a
is,
citizen legislature.
I think it's still
Yeah.
a mistake. You know, what happens in elections is that if you go into office without any sense of humility about you have to about that you were elected, I think you're making a big mistake. If you
Right.
come in with arrogance, saying, "Well, I got some mandate, or I got some,"
Right,
or
right,
if you think too big about really what your ideas, go back to the campaign. Were there any ideas? Can anybody name any issues that were out there that was an idea that anybody?
Well,
walked
yeah,
on
you
to?
were a bully and they weren't going to be a bully.
Yeah, well, that's what it drives me.
That was the issue. You were a bully. That was not that you were governing wrong, not that you were costing the
that-
town money.
Right.
You were a
But
bully.
this is the
And they're not going to be a bully.
Right, what the left does in that.
Oh
regard-
yeah, and you were a racist.
Right,
I
right.
forgot. You were
I'm a
racist.
racist with I have all my kids are racial minorities. You know, I you know what, and I hate saying this because but I remember mentioning it to somebody. I said, "Why don't you put it out in the campaign?" I have 4 adopted children.
Right.
And my children hate being called adopted because they're my children, and
Right.
they don't want the adjective, adopted, and they're right. But they're all minorities. They're all and they're sitting there for me to be called a racist. I'm sitting there going, and I remember when my daughter she was in a campaign thing with me, and she goes, "Dad, you're dragging me in because of the color of my skin." I said, Rosie was not, but that's it, my kids.
No.
And that's the whole thing because it's identity politics. It's
You
not
should have
just-
pull a full Bill de Blasio.
I know, I should-
Have one with
yeah.
the afro,
But it's like this is. But the thing is, but I mean,
They
call
made
that-
you the issue. That was the problem. They made you the
But they,
issue.
but it was people that I have known for decades that did it, and I think what it's that if you've got to go that route, if that's what it means that much to you, got to go that low.
Wait a second. We saw
Yeah,
that.
but Michael, see, this is where me and Andy differ on this. Is that, but in the end, like you said, you still got 5,300 votes,
Yeah.
which was more than
Right.
your prior win anyway.
Right.
So more
I don't
people came out and voted for you. It's the difference was, for whatever reason, the other side, the Democratic base, they were mad for.
I'm going to
whether you want to bring
I'll give you an
national-
anecdotal story. I know somebody worked the polls. There were people that came in buses, and then after they voted, they asked for a receipt. These people asked for a receipt. We need a receipt for our voting. And they said, "What the hell?" Nobody could understand why they were all asking for receipts. It's because they were asked. It was part of the. They were forced. They were brought out by whoever sent them up there needed to know that they actually. You had to return that back in, either it was to the union or whomever it was. You had a big turnout on the con that were driven out.
And
by
I
the
said that
union.
was the difference maker.
and
That
so-
was the difference maker.
And these people, and they had low information voters.
Andy, that thing lost 81 to 19. that means the Republicans were voting against that.
That
was a bad.
Everybody was against it.
Yeah, but it brought the extra people out.
If you would go into a mom and pop store anywhere in Peekskill, Cortland, Yorktown, there was, you can't find one person that supported it.
You can't find one person that knew what it was about.
It didn't matter. It was a bad. They did not know.
But it doesn't mean that they were going to drive that nail into that so far down.
Yeah, but if you were a conservative Yonkers firefighter and you were against the CON, you were still walking in there. You're still voting for Astorino.
But maybe you may not have voted.
You're talking about people. They shook the bushes. The people that didn't have I'm going to tell you, and we're going to examine the rolls. When you examine the rolls, you're going to see a lot of first-time voters.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have
that's different.
But wait a minute.
That were just driven out and told, this is what you got to do.
Yeah, but the unions have been involved in that for many years. That's nothing new.
Yeah, but
this was different.
No. You had them.
Listen, I went up through.
We had a Hispanic surge in Peekskill, which was massive. Massive.
Same thing in Yorktown.
Yeah.
And you can't.
But we had Hispanic candidates running.
Yeah.
They were running bilingual. Right. They were making history. They were running as the first.
Hispanics in Yorktown?
And then the Republicans.
You're kidding me,
The
dude.
Republicans did a crazy mail.
Wow.
But the Republicans did that crazy.
Listen,
the crazy mail that said, if you elect Hispanics, you're going to get MS-13 on the street corner.
All right, you know what this.
And then the Democrats took that mailer that the GOP put out, and we had it. My God, we had it on every Facebook page, robocall. We ginned up.
But you know what? But the thing was, you know what? We got called on some. We put out some flyer, which was a very local. You had to be, sort of the local Kaji Sentai to understand what it was, and because it was a puppeteer. And the candidates on the Democratic side were minorities. All of a sudden, it became a racist thing.
Right.
And all it was a hammer looking for a nail. It didn't make any difference. We had on the opposite side. There were candidates of color, so to speak. And so it didn't make anything. They were waiting for something to be said critical of them, just to play the racist card. Right. And the thing
are we almost done?
Yeah, we got.
Can I mention this thing really quickly?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Saturday, February 17th, a launch party. It's happening at the Hudson Valley Gateway Chamber of Commerce, Saturday, February 17th from 2 to 5. It's something called Empower You. It's a brand new program. Apparently, it's to help young people at risk, youth. Andre Rainey, the new mayor, is helping to host it that day to introduce this program to the community. It's already been successful in Yonkers, Greenburgh, Mount Vernon, New Rochelle. Anyone who wants to learn more, there's Facebook pages about it, websites about it. You can contact the mayor, but it's called Empower You, Saturday, February 17th from 2 to 5.
I think that's a great idea.
I think it's good.
I think we need to be around all these young people, keep you young.
Yes, and we need sex education for seniors. I don't know how we're going to get...
Especially for
we're going to flip that age of optimal sex from 67 to 76.
The longer it goes, all I know is I'm trying to figure out why, if you're 67 and the youngest and the
You have
youngest
to bring it back.
and the youngest naked
back to where we started.
and the youngest naked body, unless you're committing adultery, is going to be 66. Is the youngest naked body you're ever going to see again is 66. How can you say this is my optimal sex? I mean, I understand.
You know what it is? It's living in the moment.
I mean, I understand a woman.
Marianne McCarra is not going to stay in the city.
Marianne, I apologize for this part of the show.
I've always said that when when a woman gets older and things begin to sag, it pulls the wrinkles out of their face. It looks great.
And on that note, have a good night.
My wife is calling. She knows what we're talking about. Is this live?
It's a lot of fun. We got to do this.
I told her, didn't I tell you?
Good banter. It's great.
Life is it's sort of, and you can relax a little bit.
Yeah, but you know what?